What's up everybody? Coach Dan here with a video talking about some key considerations for building and maintaining muscle. Now I know a lot of us talk about having goals of building muscle, getting leaner, getting more toned, and resistance training is a big part of that. Of course, nutrition is a big part of it. Hopefully you've seen lots of videos and content lately covering that side of things. Today I want to focus a bit more on things we may be able to do inside the studio. So my first tip, the simple one, if you haven't tried this already, which is start on the weight floor. So I know a lot of you love starting on the treadmill first. That's where you find that you end up burning the most calories, getting the most splat points, you're getting into the orange on the weight floor. And there's lots of benefits to that. However, if you really want to prioritize building some muscle, and especially if you want to prioritize building some strength and some power, I encourage you to mix in starting on the weight floor. If you start on the weight floor, you're going to find that you're just more energized, you've got more focus, you're able to lift a bit heavier, you're able to get more reps in, maybe you don't need as much rest in between, and you'll just get a little bit more out of that side of the room. You'll still have plenty of time to get your splats when you get to the tread, and maybe it'll encourage you to focus a bit more on increasing your push intensities, holding your base, getting up to base a little bit quicker after walking recoveries, etc. So if you're not already, especially if you've been coming for a while, encourage you to start on the weight floor a bit more often. Next up, I wanted to talk about bringing your focus to the eccentric phase of lifting. So what is the eccentric phase? So we have three main types of contraction when it comes to lifting. First one being concentric, which is essentially when our muscle is shortening, so the size of our muscle is getting shorter as we lift. Then we have an eccentric where the muscle is lengthening. And we have an isometric where the muscle is not moving, but we are contracting. So oftentimes when we're lifting, we think about that lifting phase. We think about when our muscles are shortening, when we're working against gravity. But then when it comes to the eccentric phase, we simply let gravity do most of the work. We just drop the weights down. If we're doing a squat, we just drop down quickly. And we're leaving some gains on the table. If we can bring our focus a bit more to that eccentric phase, slowing down the tempo as we lower the dumbbells down, if we sit lower, move our bodies lower into position, we're creating a bit more time under tension. Mechanical tension is one of the key drivers of building muscle. So that's one of the things we can do, is to bring our attention to that a bit more, make that mind-muscle connection, so actually thinking about the muscles we're using and not just getting them done as quick as possible. So if you're not already, bring your attention more to the eccentric phase, the lowering phase of a lift, and not just the lifting or the concentric phase. Next up, I wanted to talk about weight selection. So often we hear people say, do I have to lift heavy to build muscle? Or is it better to lift heavy, do less, or do lighter weight and do more? The answer is we can build muscle with light weights, medium weights, and heavy weights. A bigger factor is going to be that the weights are challenging. Now, of course, that is relevant to you, on the person, the exercise, on the day, how we feel. But we want to be listening to our bodies. If we're getting to the end of a set of 10 and we feel like, I could have done another 4, 5, 6 reps, let's consider going heavier. Likewise, if it was a set of 6 to 10 and you can't quite get to 6, you only get 3, or maybe next time let's consider going a bit lighter, but we'd hope to get at least 6. So use your rep ranges as a guide. And if you are getting to the end of the set thinking that you could have done a lot more, then let's look to go a little bit heavier. Another factor you could do is keep the weight the same, but as I just talked about, think about that tempo, think about that eccentric phase. It's not always a case of going heavier. If now I'm going heavy, but my form has gone out the window, I'm barely able to control the weight, then we could consider going lighter. A lot of exercises, especially ones where we're just working one key area at a time, one muscle group, one joint, we want to be able to control it pretty much throughout. And if we're having to use loads of momentum to move that weight, yes, it's heavier, but we're probably not actually challenging the muscles and the movement that we wanted to overload. Continuing on from that, let's pay our attention to the focus of the block, or the focus of the session. So if you see the coach reveal the screen and go over the focus of that block, and then it should be reiterated throughout the block, and you'll see up on the screen. What is the focus? Are we looking to go as heavy as possible? Are we looking to lift heavy and then take rest? Are we looking to not rest and go back to back to back? Is it a circuit? We're going to rest when needed. Are we looking to go to the point of fatigue? Are we looking to focus on tempo? We want to bring our attention to all those things and not just get lost in, I'm just going to do these exercises, but let's bring a purpose and a goal to what we're doing. Just like you would approach a push effort differently if it was 30 seconds versus if it was 3 minutes, or if it was the first of a short 3-minute block versus the first of a 23-minute block. We want to approach the way we lift differently as well. If the focus is on strength and power, we may be a bit more focused on the task at hand, really thinking about moving weights explosively, focusing on speed, really grind out those last few reps, really concentrating on making sure all our muscles are switched on so we can lift as heavy as possible. There may be other times where the focus is really on feeling the muscles. We're looking for as much core activation as possible. So we're looking to feel it in our core. We're looking to feel it in certain muscle groups. So instead of prioritizing the lift per se, we're actually prioritizing where we're feeling this. So you want to pay attention to the focus of the goal. And if you're not quite sure what it is, ask the coach. Now, a key consideration for building and maintaining muscle is the volume of training. Ideally, we'd like to get each muscle group targeted somewhere between 2 to 3 times a week, and hopefully we get at least 4 sets per muscle group. Maybe if we can get towards 10 or more, that'd be even better. So if we're coming 3 times a week or more, we should be ticking all those boxes. You then may notice that we do a little bit of upper body, lower body, and core pretty much every day. So that's helping us tick those boxes and making sure that we are working every muscle group adequately. If you can, mix in a lift 45 session, if that's something that works with your schedule, then of course that's a great way of boosting the amount of lifting, the amount of sets, the amount of volume we get on all of our muscle groups. So definitely something to consider, making sure we're being consistent with our attendance, hopefully continuing to come 3 times a week or more. And if we can, we'll mix in a lift 45 in order for us to prioritize building muscle. One last thing to think about when it comes to volume though is to not overdo it. We don't need to come 7 times a week because rest is important as well. So yes, again, adequate volume is great, but it's probably going to be a point of diminishing return. So make sure you are getting your rest days in as well so you can recover. That's when a lot of our actual muscle building happens. Okay, so make sure you're getting those rest days in as well. Okay, my last quick tip, this is a bonus tip really, is to not sleep on options. So options are there for a reason, and take them. Don't think it's a cop-out or anything negative to take an option over the prescribed exercise that you see on the screen. The template design team do a great job designing the workouts, but there will be times when an option is going to be better for you. You're going to get more out of it. Even halfway through the block, you may have done the first set or the first 2 sets, and you come to think, actually, it may be better on this round if I do this on my knees, or if I remove the explosive element, or if instead of going with dumbbells, I'm going to go with a TRX. So use options. They are your friend, and don't be afraid to flag down a coach for more options. So yes, team, there you have just a few things to consider. Hopefully it sparks a bit of conversation as well. Comment below if there's any questions you have related to the weight floor side of things, anything you're not sure about. You can do that commenting below on this video. Of course, reach out to a coach when you're in class. Keep up the great work, team. See you soon.